here we see the rent growth, and we do see that rent growth has slowed down in recent quarters, but we see that renewals are outperforming new leases by between 100 and 200 basis points. We also see that the rent growth patterns vary according to the type of product. So cottages, which is a horizontal apartment type of product, they're bearing the brunt of the supply wave that's happening on the multifamily side because multifamily apartments do compete directly with cottages. They're a similar sized product. Cottages certainly offer some premiums and advantages over typical apartments, but they do get more influenced by the competition from the multifamily. The higher priced SFR types are the most resilient and supported by the limited supply of starter homes in the market.
This really speaks to the trend that we see when looking at the differences in tenant profile between multifamily tenants, which are also very similar to the cottage and horizontal apartment style build for rent tenants. Whereas when you look at kind of the higher end single family detached or even some of the higher end attached townhome build for rent product, it's a totally different tenant profile. You typically have younger families, young professionals that are living together. And so they're not as deeply impacted compared to these multifamily style tenants.
That's right. So this graph shows the dispersion of rent growth and just shows you some examples of markets and submarkets and what they're experiencing in terms of rent growth. So certain areas like Southwest Florida really taking it on the chin. The back-to-back hurricanes certainly did not help. Austin, famous for having a large supply of multifamily, and BTR definitely suffering. But in areas like Kansas City, where we are doing a study right now, we're seeing pretty strong rent growth still. And other parts of the Midwest are doing extraordinarily well. The Twin Cities showing up as the highest number on this graph in terms of positive rent growth. Minneapolis, St. Paul has one of the most severe housing shortages in the entire country. And it has not been on the radar of most BTR developers and investors because they've been focused so much on the Sun Belt. But outside the Sun Belt, there are plenty of opportunities. And Minneapolis, St. Paul, the Twin Cities really is a perfect example of that.
Can confirm in our Kansas City recent study as well, we're indicating that rent growth for build for rent is going to bounce back to 4 to 5% and stabilize here on out from 2027 onward. And this is really once the occupancy within the market has stabilized and the new supply has been effectively absorbed. So this is a higher rent growth than is traditionally underwritten, which is typically around 3%. So super promising for some of these markets that maybe traditionally aren't looked at for build for rent. So some of the strongest rent growth is occurring in these non-traditional secondary markets, which often tend to share some common traits such as lower baseline rents, limited supply, and growing regional demand. So there's still a story behind why people are moving there and why employment is starting to grow to higher income and people are moving for the jobs into that area.